Isn't it funny how there are certain things that we accept that it's going to take a bit of time for us to, get good at, get the hang of, okay? And we're happy to spend the time and to devote our precious time throughout days or weeks or months or years in order to get good at it. But then there are other things that we just think we should be good at automatically without even trying. Well, lunging is so often one of those things. I don't know if it's because it's on a circle that we just assume, listen, I'm supposed to be good at this, what's going on? But either way, it is something that needs to be worked on. And today I want to talk to you if you are struggling with lunging to help you identify maybe a couple of areas that you can begin devoting a little bit of attention to in order to turn this into a method that you can use when working with your horse. Okay, let's dive in. Hey there, and welcome to the Daily Strides podcast. My name is Lorna Leeson. I'm an equestrian trainer or coach, and I work with riders from all over the world to help them going from being, well, to be honest, a little embarrassed about the field ornament in the field to actually making plans and working with their horse on the regular. Okay, and today I want to dive into one of the things that you can do, especially if the horse is a field ornament, hey? One of the things you can do, one of the easiest ways that you can actually begin to work with your horse again. Now, I love lunging. It is so versatile. I speak about it all the time. I just think it's so amazing. People are missing out if they do not know how amazing lunging is. Proper lunging, okay? Correct lunging. Lunging in the truest form of lunging, okay? It is just so good. There's so much goodness to it. I'm not even going to go into it all now, but it's great. And you know what else is really, really special about lunging? Is that at this time of year where maybe time is a little tight due to responsibilities, due to daylight hours, here where I am in the world, it's due to the heat, okay? You're kind of really trying to work in the mornings and in the evenings to kind of keep out of that heat. But if time is a little tight, lunging is your friend because you can get a really, really meaningful session in with your horse that the two of you are working together, working towards something. You've got like a common goal and you can do it in 15 minutes or less. Like, what is not to love about it? But I tell you, a lot of the time people don't love it is because they're struggling. And I get it, okay? It's not enjoyable doing the things that you struggle with. I know. I also don't like those things. I also want to avoid those things. But very often, those are the very things that we need to do in order to get what we want. And if you've been putting lunging off because, listen, this is like struggle central for me, well, today is the day for you, okay? And specifically, I want to talk about you today because I do think that it's important to understand that with lunging, with riding, with groundwork, with all things to do with our horse, it's a team effort, okay? There are two of you involved. So what I'm going to do is today I'm going to talk about you, and then next week I'm going to talk about your horse, part 2, okay? So today we're going to focus all on you. You can just mop this all up. This is for you. So why are you struggling with lunging? What is going on? What is it that is so difficult about lunging that maybe you're not seeing progress? Maybe it feels like you're just running in circles. Maybe it feels like there's absolutely a total waste of time. All it is you standing there watching your horse. Well, I would say that the very first reason, the top reason, the reason for so many things is because you have no plan, okay? You don't have a purpose for each of the sessions, okay? And lunging, because it's just like riding, okay? If it is going to be a tool that you're going to use in your training with your horse, well, you need a plan. You can't just pitch up and show up and be like, right, I'm here. Let's spend 15 minutes running in a circle and then get upset that you and your horse are not achieving anything, okay? There needs to be something specific, a specific, clear intention or focus for each lunging session, just like each riding session. Otherwise, as I said, it's running in circles. And I must say, there's a couple of things that really I just do not enjoy, and running in circles is one of those things, okay? So if lunging is going to benefit you and your horse in the long run, you need to take the time to create the plan, okay? That's going to, not only a plan for that session, but a plan that actually connects you and your horse to like your long-term vision for what you want to achieve, okay? That you're working towards it with the lunging that you're doing. Okay, the second big reason, okay, and this one I hear all the time because it's more obvious, literally, is just getting tangled up. You know, there's a lot of rope going on there and you're trying to control yourself, you're trying to watch the horse, you're trying to make sure that you're on the circle, you're trying to maybe work on your aids, the horse maybe is not being as responsive as you want, and next thing you know, you're knotted up, tripping yourself up in the lunge line. And I know it can be really, really frustrating, but you know what? This, just like everything else, when you begin to practice how to actually control your lunge line and everything else, hey, it's not just the lunge line. Although, to be fair, the lunge line is usually the piece of equipment that most riders have the biggest issue with, okay? But it could be the whip, it could be maybe if you're using a cavesson or a bridle, whatever, okay? But when you are then trying to do all that and then also obviously watch the session, it can be frustrating. And like I said, you can actually practice that, okay? That's something you can practice off the lunge. You don't need to keep running your horse in circles while you figure it all out, okay? You can practice it off the lunge to become better at it, okay? Remember, if you're feeling awkward, and that is usually the feeling, it's like it's just awkward, okay? When you're feeling awkward or overwhelmed with the lunge line in this case, okay, that feeling is going to transfer across to your horse, okay? And whether your horse picks up on the actual like feeling awkward and overwhelmed, or whether your horse then realizes, hold on, there's something not 100%, and actually begins to pick up on your communication being, well, ineffective, maybe a bit stiff, maybe a bit muffled, okay? The lines are crossed, okay? Literally around your legs, okay? But whether that is happening, it's not going to end up being the lunging session that you want. So keep in mind that you want to make sure that you know what you're doing with all of the equipment, especially the lunge line, and that you practice, okay? Practice, practice, practice. Okay, the third thing that shows up for so many riders when they're lunging and they are just struggling completely is literally the wrong position, okay? The wrong cues. They are just not communicating as clearly and as openly with their horse than they would normally be working with their horse, okay? So your position as it relates to lunging, okay? And when you're lunging, your position is to do with kind of where you are in relation to your horse, okay? But your position when lunging is just as important as your seat when riding. It's actually the foundation for everything else, okay? And it also is one of the biggest struggles riders have. They'll find that they're either too far forward or too far back, okay? They're stopping things, they're blocking things, they're driving things, chasing things on, and they don't mean to at all, okay? So you want to make sure that you understand your position in relation to the horse, and also that when your horse is in constant motion, which is what's happening when you're lunging, okay? Well, it's almost constant. I'm hoping you sprinkle a few halts in there, okay? But yeah, so your horse is in almost constant motion. Your position in relation to your horse is constantly being adjusted, and it's something that you need to learn, especially if you want to communicate effectively to your horse, okay? Remember, if you're in the wrong spot, you're having an entirely different conversation with your horse than what you think you're having. So it really and truly makes sense to spend a lot of time on this and to get better at it, okay? Okay, the fourth issue I see with so many riders is that they struggle with the whip. Now, before we go any further, I just wanted to be said, I say this all the time, but let's say it again, okay? The whip has the wrong name. It shouldn't be called the whip, okay? Very misleading. It should be called a pointer, or maybe an extender. That doesn't sound quite as nice. But a pointer or an extender, because that's what the whip does. The whip either points to the horse where you would like your horse to focus, or it acts like an extension to your aids. Now, with lunging, usually it's more the extension part, okay? That's what we're going for. Sometimes it can be the pointer, but more often than not, we're going for the extension, okay? However, what has happened is that so many riders use the whip incorrectly, and whether they're doing this intentionally or not, okay, they are causing like maybe some excessive tension in the horse. Maybe the horse has just become a little bit dull to the aid, okay? And remember, we're not whipping the horse, okay? This does not touch the horse. We don't need to be whipping the horse, okay? It is a pointer or an extender. But yes, that the horse becomes maybe just dull and unresponsive to the aid because it's being used incorrectly. So it's really, really important that if you want to become better at lunging, well, you learn how to use the lunge whip, okay? You learn how to incorporate it into your aids just like you would any aid if you were in the saddle. This is really, really important. Okay, and then the fifth thing that I see so many riders, well, I suppose failing to do, okay, and because of that, their lunging is definitely not where it should be, is that they have no links between, or no correlation between what they're doing on the lunge and their actual riding goals. Now, I said it at the beginning, having a plan for each session, but it's also important to tie that in to what your long-term vision is, okay? And long-term being like 3 months, a year. I'm not talking about like 10 years, okay? I'm saying, kind of break it down. You want to make sure that you are using each lunging session, okay? Each session, it doesn't matter what you're doing actually, that you are strengthening the training, but also the partnership with your horse, okay? That you have this kind of holistic approach when it comes to working with your horse, okay? And I do believe that almost everything that you can work on or work towards in the saddle, you can actually do it on the ground and do it on the lunge as well, okay? And also the different perspective you get and your horse gets when working on something on the lunge, it actually sometimes helps to almost like cement the concept in. It helps to, make it clearer, make it more understood. It kind of translates across, which is amazing. So definitely, if you can find a way to incorporate or weave lunging into your training plan so that it's helping you work towards those longer term visions or those longer term goals that you and your horse have, that is going to be really, really helpful for both of you. And not just like this time of year, not just when your horse is fresh, not just when you don't have time to ride. I'm talking like consistently, like maybe twice a week, you're having a lunging session. That is how you improve. I often find it so strange. I bet you that right now you probably know of something in your riding that needs work. And you probably have no problems going out there and working on it and doing all that you can to improve that. But that is not how most people see lunging. I don't know why. I'll say what I said at the beginning. They seem to think that they should have been born being able to lunge a horse. Yet no. Okay, you have to learn it and your horse has to learn it. And of course, that's what I'm going to speak about in the next episode. If you want to get started with lunging, I'm going to advise you to pop over to stridesforsuccess.com/3 days. Okay, so 3 days, and it's the number 3, okay, the numeral. 3 days. I have a free training there that you can actually listen to and use when you're working with your horse. That'll help get you going, okay, and get the two of you on the road to becoming better and to using this in your training. So you can go over and get that. I'll also leave a link in the show notes. Okay, I'm going to leave it there. Have a great week. Keep well, and I'll chat to you soon. Be good. Bye.